Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heike, this is my little furry assistant Lola the ragdoll cat, and you're watching Stone Cold Coffee Crafts. Today is Friday, July the 10th, and it's time for another Flosstube. So today I have finished objects for you and I have a new start for you. I have no other whip because, as you know, I am a mostly monogamous stitcher, as in I pick a project and I work on it for a long time. So, except for stitch-alongs, and no baby, I know you want to lie down on the stitching. We've had this discussion in the last 5 minutes. So the first things I would like to show you are my finishes. And the first finish of this week is the Barbara Anna Halloween Mystery Stitch Along called Spellville. She released this with Creative Poppy, a cross-stitching shop in France, which mostly has their patterns in PDF format, I believe. I've not checked them in depth for anything. I just scrolled through a few of their sections, and at least all the Barbara Anna is offered in PDF, which I have decided is my favorite way to purchase them. While I like to have the paper pattern to give away afterwards for a pass the stash thing, I actually prefer using the PDF pattern to stitch. I've explained this in one of my daily crafty chats this week. I'm mostly stitching like I'm working in my desk chair, at my desk, right at my computer. So I have my pattern on a huge screen there, and I don't actually need to fumble with paper patterns. So that's why I prefer getting them as PDF, even though I can't de-stash them, so to speak, afterwards. I mean, they don't take up space anyway, so that's not an issue. So I'm going to give you a bit of a close-up of what this thing looks like. And I've modified the pattern slightly. So this is mostly stitched as Barbara calls for. It is on a 32 count Zweigart antique white linen with 3 colors. The whole thing is just charted in 3 colors, still blowing my mind. And all the stitching is done like she called for, except for the parts where you see beads. This is where I have substituted stitching for beads because I thought it would make sense and would add some interest. And I think it actually does. And I had 2 bead colors that fit the chosen thread colors very well. And let me grab them real quick without stepping on the cat, who is now lying on the floor, pouting because she's not allowed to lie on the stitching. So these are the 2 colors I chose to work with. They are both from Mayuki. They are 11.0 seed beads, which means they are 2. What are they again? 2.4? No, 2.0 millimeters. And the colors are called Duracoat Metallic Berry and Metallic Dark Mauve, also Duracoat. And I've never fully understood why this color is actually called berry, because it's a copper. It's a straight copper, but that's what it's called. And this was a perfect match for the 919. This is slightly lighter than the, what is it? 3371, the dark brown. You can see that if I put them right next to each other, it's slightly lighter, but it was the darkest brown I had in a metallic shade. And since I had chosen the berry for the 919, I decided I wanted to go with metallic as well. I think the only beads I had that would have fit perfectly were also matte, and matte doesn't fit the sparkle. These are the sparks coming out of the wand. They have to have some kind of interest. So now all that's left is finishing, and I'm going to finish it like Barbara suggested, in a hoop. She said a 10-inch hoop. I'm not entirely sure I like that. I purchased the hoop before I even started stitching, and as you can see, there's a lot of space in here. So, I'm not entirely sure yet. I have gone completely wild, and I have put in a purchase with Bob Roll on Etsy. It has not arrived yet, but I purchased a lot of her Halloween finishing things like trims and silk ribbon and stuff like that, and I'm going to dive into my stash for more things, so maybe I will actually need the space if I want to add things. Right now all I have purchased is more like to add to the bottom to make it a bit more extra, so I hope it will work out like I'm currently imagining it. We will see. Hopefully it will be shipped out soon. It has not shipped yet. That's why it hasn't arrived yet. And I can work on this in the next 2 weeks to show you for the next Flosstube. It also depends a little bit. I'm a bit of a whiny person in summer. You will notice that in my daily crafty chats that I constantly complain that it's too hot to craft. I think we are now entering this phase because yesterday I did pretty much nothing. And I had plans, people. I did not do them. So this is what I have planned for this one. And let's see how this turns out, or if I have to go back and purchase a 9-inch hoop instead. That would be closer to the stitching. I'm not entirely sure. So that's the first finish, or let's say that was actually the second finish. First finish because this is my goal was to finish this in June, and that's what happens. What happened? It's Beautiful Things by Lindy Stitches. You probably have seen this finished by other people because she has been sharing the finishes people have posted and I've seen them. So yeah, that's what it looks like. As you might remember, I was not able to get the called for fabric, which was Picture This Plush Earthen. I asked Jukus from xJuDesign to dye me something. And I went by the DMC reference that Simon Says, not Simon Says, no, scratch that, brain, scratch that. 1 2 3 stitch, sometimes, not always. 1 2 3 stitch gives you a DMC equivalent to a fabric color, and I went with that and asked her to dye me something like that, but that color turned out exactly to look like this one here. So I scratched the plan to stitch on this. It would have been looking good for most of the colors, but I was afraid that these parts here in the border would vanish. So that's why I did not do that. But it's a bit wrinkled. I have not pressed it, and even though I rolled it up, I didn't notice that I had something lying on top of it. That's why I have these creases in there now. I need to press it again. I mean, need to do that anyway before I frame it. And that's the plan of what to do with this one. This is going to be just framed, and I haven't looked it up yet, but I have to look for a pretty frame for this because it deserves something very pretty. My favorite color I think I've stitched with is the blue. This is True Azul or something like that. I can't even remember anymore. But it's a classic color work, I think, and it is a gorgeous blue. It has a bit of variegation, as you can see, and it does not show as bright on camera as it looks like to me right now, but it is mostly true. Absolutely adore this. Also, I am not the biggest fan of stitching words and alphabets, but I am still seriously in love with this alphabet. It's just so gnarly and branchy, and if I could ask something of Stephanie, it would be, please release this whole alphabet as a separate pattern. I would like to use it on more things in the future. I would totally buy it. So that's my second finish. And it's absolutely stunning. Oh, so the fabric I used instead of the called for is Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart in a 36 count, like called for. And I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, this fabric seems to be the go-to fabric for a lot of things. I've said in my daily crafty chats that the only thing I personally would change if I stitched this again are the colors for these two flowers, because they are just DMC, and as you can see it's all one color. I think if I stitched this again, I would go for a variegated thread, and I probably would stitch the petals one by one to have the variegation change and give it a little more down, girl, to give it a little more interest, because this looks really just flat to me, which is a bit sad compared to the blue flower. So that's the one thing I would change if I ever stitch this again. Little sneak peek of my bag. Don't look at it too closely because I usually don't pay attention to my bags. Yeah, hi. Is the spotlight finally free for you? Oh. So, and after I finished the spell wheel, I started a new stitch along, also by Barbara Anna, and it is the Santa's Trip. Cat, I'm sorry, I have to this way. You don't have to get nervous, my dear. The Santa's Trip Mystery Stitch Along. It's a Christmas stitch along she is again doing with Creative Poppy. It is a 9-part stitch along, and part 1 is the only one that is going to be very big. So part 1 drops the frame, which you see here. I have completed that now. And then the first square, which will go in the upper left. I see your cat. The squares are only 40 by 40. And as you can see from the picture I've put in, it's about half coverage all in all, maybe 2/3. So it's not too bad. I hope that I can actually finish this today. That's my hope and plan for today. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what I'm aiming for. And yeah, I have completed the frame and I absolutely loved stitching the frame. The frame took me 6 days, I think. I started on the 3rd and I finished it yesterday. So what makes that? Makes that 6 days? Math no good. Could have been a week. I'm not entirely sure. Seriously, my brain has not started yet for the day. I'm still in boot up mode. So yeah, this is my only new start and my only whip since we last spoke that is now a finished object. This is going to drop in 9 patterns. Pattern is a hard word to say. In 9 patterns or parts, and it is going to drop on every 1st and 15th of the month. So we're getting close to the 2nd drop. The frame took a long time. You don't have to stitch the frame in one go though. You could easily stitch it whenever you stitch one of the squares. You could stitch the portion of the frame that goes with it. Nothing to prevent you from that. I just love frames and I wanted to get this done. Also, so I know now the dimensions of this thing, because I have changed only one thing so far. I have gone up from 32 to 28 count because 32 is the count of stitching I have discovered in the last few weeks I enjoy the least. So I like 28 count because I can comfortably stitch with 2 threads and it doesn't look too bulky. The stitches actually look neat and straight. I like stitching on 36 and 40 because then I go 1 thread and it looks good. I don't like 32 because 1 thread looks too bare for me and 2 threads tend to get bulky. So when I saw that she was going to release it again and I checked the required materials list, I saw that she had once again charted this for 32 count. I think that's actually her preferred size because everything so far I've seen from her is charted on 32 count. I've decided to go up 1 size and stitch it in 22 and 28 instead. So this is 22. What is it, brain? What is it? This is a 28 count linen from Zweigart in the color, I think the English name is Dirty Linen. And the whole thing is stitched with DMC. I think Barbara always has everything charted in DMC. I'm going to use all the called for stuff, just gone up a size. So now that the frame is finished, I know how big this really is in 28 count and what type of frame I have to be on the lookout for. Since this isn't round, I'm not going to put it in a hoop. Though I've seen there are square hoops and they are actually not really square, they are rounded on the edges. So maybe that's an option, but I think I would prefer a proper frame for this. I'm not entirely sure yet. Still have time because the last pattern is going to drop on, I think I calculated November 15th. So this stitch along gives you plenty of time to stitch and finish this thing in time for Christmas, which I like very much. I don't know if... I haven't been back in the stitching world for too long, so you have to help me out here. But do stitchers stitch for the season or with the season? Because I, as you know, come from the world of card making, and we make stuff for the season. So right now, card makers are in the middle of Christmas cards. They are doing nothing but winter and Christmas in summer. Well, that's not entirely true. If you are in the US, you're probably also doing Halloween and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But the main thing we are doing right now is Christmas stuff. I shouldn't say we, because I am not. But stitches, it seems, are more like stitching with the season, because a lot of the stitch-alongs release too close to the season. So maybe Barbara is a bit unique in that. I know that Tiny Modernists just started their Halloween stitch-along as well, so maybe they are different in that too. But I remember last year the Nutcracker Parade, that released much closer to Christmas than this one here did. Anyway, let's stop talking about this. I know it's pretty, but I've talked about it enough. So that leaves me with plans, which are pretty easy. As I said, I hope I can finish the Barbara Anna today, and then I'm going to finally go to my what was supposed to be focus project for this month, which is the Frosty Forest. Speaking about stitching Christmas in July, that's a very wintry thing. The name might have spoiled that. And I'm going to stitch on that until the 15th. And on the 15th, both the Chinese Zodiac Part 4 and the next part of the Barbara Anna will drop. I'm expecting the Frosted Pumpkin to be the second corner part and flowers and stuff. So last time that took me, I think, 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. That's what I'm calculating with this time. And though that was on a weekend, so maybe I should go with 3 days. And the Barbara Anna, I hope that this is just a 1 day thing, because a 40 by 40 is not too big. And I, as we all know, spent way too much time on my butt stitching stuff. And then afterwards, the rest of the month will be spent on the Frosty Forest. I have decided I'm going to do this now every month. I'm going to pick a focus piece, and I'm going to put in as much stitching as I can on that. And the only variation will be my stitch-alongs. I have now 2 active stitch-alongs that will run until November, so that should be more than enough. I hope I won't start anything new. No guarantees, because me crazy. So, and I will have one or the other new start, but it will be not as much or as many as you'll see from other people, because my brain just can't cope with that. So talking about brain and finally starting the train brain, let's have a sip of coffee. So that's the plan for the immediate future. By the next time you see my stuff, I should have a bigger progress on Frosty Forest. Wouldn't it be awesome if I could finish a couple of squares for that one? I mean, one is already a third there, I would say. I have stitched all the white, which I always dread the most, but there's a huge house in there, so I'm not entirely sure how long that house is going to take. And the other one I'm going to stitch next has also a house. There are 4 pieces with a house in there, and I've decided to do those first. Because I think the houses are a bit more daunting to me. I'm not the biggest full coverage fan, and houses are obviously it's pretty full coverage, so I'm going to do those first to get them out of the way. And I'm looking forward to getting back on this, even though it's on Lugana, and I hate stitching on Lugana with a passion. The weave is just way too tight for me. Okay, so let's get into haul. And haul today is pretty much all fabric. Yeah, again, don't judge me. It's all fabric and 1 magazine. And if you are interested in that, it's an older Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazine. It's the one from 2018. If you're interested in that, I'm going to do a flip through at the end of my haul section. And that's going to be it for today. So let's have a look. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to diminish the fabric pile now. So first up, because this I think has been on the way the longest, it was stuck in customs for a long time, and that is my Fortnight Fabrics Fabric of the Month Club for May. I subscribe to both the colorful and the neutral, and the colorful for this month is Amaryllis, which is this very deep orangey pink. This pink has a lot of red and it's absolutely stunning. I have no idea what I'm going to stitch on this. Also, as you can see, it's a 32 count. I switched from, I've been pretty bad. I started out with 1 club, the colorful in Ada and the neutral in Lugana. Then I asked them, please switch both to even weave 28 count. I don't think I want to get any more Ada. Then I discovered I don't like stitching on even weave because I don't like how tight it is and how the thread pulls. It drives me crazy. I never thought I had any kind of OCD, but this might be something OCD, if I'm quite honest with you. I absolutely hate it. And I also don't like how it dyes up. Linen dyes much prettier than both Ada and even weave, but even weave is easily on 3rd place as far as dyeing goes. So, and then I asked them to switch to linen, and sadly they don't do 28 count, so I said, okay, let's do 32. But I might actually change it yet again and ask them to send me 36 from now on. Now on will be August, because June is right now wherever. I have something in the post office and I can't put the tracking number with any package. It's not anything I have in my tracking, but I'm charged customs for it, so I'm hoping it might be my June fabric of the month. I have to try and collect that today. But it's not here yet. It's, according to tracking, still in Frankfurt. So let's see. And July I have just paid for. So the first I can change will be August, and I might do that. So these are the 2 fabrics of the month. Then I ordered with Peakside Needlecraft. And she had a couple of neutrals from Picture This Plus. You don't need to light up. Yes, Mom, I do. She had a couple of neutrals from Picture This Plus in 28 count in stock. And I thought it's never a bad thing to have those on hand. So I got a piece of Legacy, which is this more greenish one. As you can see, fat quarter. And then I got one of the new releases for this year, which is Fawn. And this is a really pretty color. It's pretty close to the Fortnight fabric, quite honest. Which is good to know, because I saw this and thought, I love this. But the Fortnight fabrics, the fabrics of the month, they are really just for the fabric of the month. You can never purchase them again. So good to know that these are so similar. Love it. So I got those just for shits and giggles, I guess. No, just to have something in stock, because usually I don't have a whole lot of Picture This Plus on hand, because it's not so easy to get here. I mainly purchase it with purpose in mind, and purchases without any purpose at all. Hand dyed by Rolanda. Ooh, that woman. She gets me every time she posts linen. And yesterday, I think, was actually the day where she was supposed to post linen. She always posts Thursday in her Etsy shop. And one week she posts even weave, and the next week she posts Aida and linen. Yesterday she posted a ton of Aida, and it was gorgeous. But I just don't stitch on Aida anymore. I don't enjoy it anymore. No judgment, just don't enjoy it myself. And usually afterwards she posts linen, but yesterday she didn't. And yeah, good for my my wallet, I guess. Last time I already showed you something that looked very similar to this one here. It is this mixture of gray and purple, and I absolutely adore this. The other one had a big splotch of pink, and this one here doesn't have that much. It has a tiny bit of pink and blue splatters in there, but not too much. It's mostly the gray and the purple, and this is a 36 count. That's why I got it. I love the other one so much, and when she posted, I was absolutely deliriously happy that there was one that looked like what I had gotten before in a 36 count, so I could get this one. This is just for my stash if I ever find something that absolutely needs on a to go on a 36 count. That is all kinds of extra. So that would be that. And then I decided I wanted to try something I have not tried before, because she has recently posted something called Quaker cloth, which is a 28 count linen, and quite honestly it looks like a 28 count linen, so I don't, just from looking at it, I don't see a difference to any other 28 count linen I have seen. I mean, we could compare the two. I mean, you see the slabs. Maybe this is a tiny bit tighter. I'm not entirely sure. And I've shed on it. But it is pretty much 28 count linen. It's called Quaker cloth. So if anyone can explain the difference to me. But I thought let's go with the green and blue, and it blows out majorly. This is really lime green. Lime green and this denim blue. So it's nowhere. If I get closer, does it? No. Sometimes if I change the angle, the light will follow, but it doesn't for this one. So this is really a color I have not yet. Talking about color I have not yet, if you watch my daily crafty chats, you know that I'm currently transforming a big bookshelf in my hallway into bookshelf / yarn storage. I have now also added diamond painting storage to it, and I want to put my fabric, my stitching fabric in there as well, so I can have my living room back to be a living room instead of a cluttered extension of my craft room with piles of yarn and fabric everywhere. So while doing this, I have decided that I need a side project to this. I need to inventory all the fabric I've bought, because it's massive. It's a massive amount, and I've long since forgotten what I've purchased in the beginning. So, speaking about massive, Jukas, xJuDesign on Etsy, I put in a customs order. You might remember I purchased a piece of fabric from Bob Raw for the Princess Eliana from Mirabilia. But while I like the fabric, I had a feeling it turned out too dark. So I thought, let's go back to Jukus and see what she can do. And she dyed me this. Because I had seen that she had posted a purple fabric in her shop and she called it Lavender Fields. As always with her fabric, there's only the slightest modeling. It's very rare that she does any harsher modeling than this. And this color, I think, is much closer to what I want it to be. So I'm very, very happy with this. This was the first part of my customs order. Then I asked her to dye me a piece of Midnight Ride. And you can purchase this, if you're in the US, you can purchase this from Kitten Stitcher. She has this in her shop, but Jukus does not have this in her shop all the time. She recently posted it in a 40 count, but I needed 28, so I didn't buy the 40 count. Let's see if I can show it a bit better what this looks like, because this is really, really extra. So for her, this is super extra. It's one of her Halloween fabrics. And I asked her to dye this to stitch my Midnight Call, I think it's called, the Blackbird design. That's going to go on there. And I think this is the perfect fabric. I already did floss toss and I absolutely like how it looks. I think all the flosses will be standing out on it, unlike any other fabric I've tried before where always the toasted barley got lost on. Bane of my existence. But then I also thought better safe than sorry. Let's order another one that might be an alternative, and this is Witch's Brew. And that is basically the same, just in purple. And I have to tell you, the floss for the Midnight Watch looks fantastic on the purple. I'm just going with the blue because of the night sky situation. But look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So you can request those anytime from her. She will custom dye them for you. No problem at all. Custom dyeing doesn't cost anything more than what she has listed in her shop too, and she is super fast. I ordered these and she shipped them out, I think, a week later. So this is absolutely fantastic. I love custom ordering from her. Like I said, you can check Kitten Stitches shop, I think, yeah, Teresa, right? Kitten Stitcher. She has a lot of her fabric in her store, and you can check out what her fabrics look like and request any from her, except for the ones that are exclusive to Kitten Stitcher, of course, because there are a couple that are exclusive to her, and those you will not be able to order from Jukus directly. But if you are in the US anyway, I guess ordering from Kitten Stitcher will be faster anyway. For me, it's the other way around. Being in Europe, ordering from Jukus is way, way faster. And cheaper. Because Jukus offers free shipping. So, and I think 3 or 4 days after I had placed my custom order with her, she posted a piece of fabric in her shop that I could not resist. I could absolutely not resist. So it is called Ambrosia, and what she rarely does, so I have to check with her if I can request this for anything. She rarely posts opalescent linen. She has a few pieces of opalescent Ada in her shop. I've never seen opalescent even weave, but opalescent linen is very rare. So she posted this, and Ambrosia is this pink with the yellow and the darker speckles, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely had to have this. There was no way around it. I had just spent 50 euros with her, but there was no way around getting this piece of fabric. And this is a fat quarter, and it is a 36 count. So, Famous last words. And with my first custom order, I had not reached my free shipping threshold, and as you know, I abhor paying shipping. So I got a tiny piece of buttermilk cake in 40 count. This is a 10 by 13 inch piece, so this is really not big, but it's a 40 count, so I have something I think might look good on that, I believe. So, and I think I forgot the patterns. I did order patterns with the Peakside Needleworks order. I have to pause real quick and pick them up after I showed you the last piece, because when she posted the Ambrosia, she also posted a piece of My Little Dove, which is this gorgeous coolish gray, and it's also, as you can see, opalescent 36 count. So I thought, yep, mine. I absolutely don't need it, but mine. So let me grab my patterns real quick that I got. I totally forgot about them. See, that happens when brain doesn't work. But at least sometimes when brain misfires, it misfires in the right direction. Because right now I thought, wait a minute, you ordered patterns with the Peakside Needleworks. No, I didn't. But I did order patterns. They came from 123 Stitch. Because I still had 3 patterns for the Frosty Forest that I hadn't gotten yet, which was the Bluebird cabin, glare, Bluebird cabin. Look at this little owl. Ah. Then the Snowy Friends and the Snowy Foxes. These were the 3 patterns that I was still missing for this piece. And I also, of course, got the buttons. So the little owl. Then we have this pine cone. And we have a little acorn. So that was for the Frosty Forest. And then I checked out what else Little House Needleworks had to offer. What Country Cottage Craft had to offer, and for whatever reason Little House Needleworks got suggested to me, I guess because they are so similar, and I saw her, Miss Peepers. I couldn't. She is so adorable. She is so freaking adorable. And then I remembered I had seen something on Caroline's channel of the Grid Needlearts, something she finished recently, and I absolutely adored. And I remembered this was Little House Needleworks as well. So the last thing that hopped in my cart was this little sheep, the Warm Winter Woolens, the little sheepy. And I think one of the two could maybe look good on the buttermilk, probably the birdie. It's a bit more yellow than the fabric they've used, but it should work, I think. So that's it for fabrics and also patterns that are not in a magazine. And yeah, Honey Bunch, everyone sees you. It's hard to miss you. And I know it's a lot. It's really a lot. I need to absolutely stop buying fabric just because. So let's see if we can do this with the cat and also with the glare. So this is something I got from my German online shop I like to order from. I ordered basically basic linen from them. The dirty linen for the Barbara Anna Christmas sale, and I ordered the called for linen for her Forest Queen, which I want to stitch anytime soon. And I also ordered another piece that I think might go with the Unicorn Tapestry, but they are all standard Zweigart linen colors, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But I still had a couple of euros to go before I reached the free shipping threshold. And I checked the the weekly discount section. They have a section where they discount stuff for a week only, and this magazine was in there. It was half price, so it fit perfectly in what I needed to not pay shipping. And I adore Halloween, so it was not a pain to do so. So I've covered up all of the patterns except for those that take up a whole page. We are going to try and see if we can show this without it glaring too much. Yeah, hi. I see you, I hear you. So these are the first ones. So these are Doreen Jones. I'm usually more used to more cutesy stuff from her, so this was a bit surprising. Same for them. So Doreen has a lot of patterns in this. I hope the patterns are not too visible through the post-it notes. But I really didn't want to do the cover it up struggle. So I pulled out a bunch of post-it notes, and yeah, we've seen those, and covered everything up. I'm sorry I'm not talking too much, but I pretty much just want to show you what's in here and show you the patterns I have decided I like enough to want to stitch them. This is also a nice one. I wouldn't want to stitch that, but it looks really nice. It's for those who love black work. I think that wouldn't take too long because the cross-stitching part is basically the roof and some parts of the windows, and the rest is all black work. So Halloween, a night to dismember. Little haunted mansion. I like the fabric. It's really pretty. So that has the pattern on a full page. Look at that kitty! That kitty! And yeah, this is very obviously Frosted Pumpkin. Here's a bit of a beaded piece. And as you can see, I put my marker in because this kitty is going to get stitched. It's very small, so this should be a quick one. And then this one here. It's also very cute. This cat, I'll be honest with you, it looks a little bit insane. And like it's being strangled by its bow, but I guess it's crying, so it's very possible. And here's the Frosted Pumpkin again. It's so cute. And the little ornaments, the cauldron. This one here, coffee and tea. It's tempting, it's very tempting. Little clock melting. Little pillow, the cemetery. That hair. This is a Nikki's Creations, okay. I love this one. The only thing that throws me off is his beak. I am not on board with that. But other than that, I absolutely adore it. This looks so psychedelic. If our office manager had any kind of humor in him, I would totally stitch this for our office. Totally would. But he doesn't, so I won't. Then we have the mug wraps, which were on an earlier page as a preview. I'm not sure these would actually do anything except looking pretty, so I probably would be afraid that someone would spill on that. So this is absolutely a mixture of Halloween and Harry Potter. Anyone else imagining this car in the blue and Ron and Harry in there? That was my first thought when I thought. And look at this ghost cloud. It's so gorgeous. It's so cute. Maybe it's the little Hedwig that made me think of that. Might be. This is a Leslie Tier pattern. I think, yeah, that's where the pattern is. So I did not cover this up. We have the Ghoul Bus. And another school-related pattern. The pumpkin pie. I'm sorry, that's such a dad joke, but yeah, totally. I'm down for that. So another little preview page with more smallish things. So a little train. Adorable. This one here, thinking about it, totally am. Then we have the Dead Flower Trio. The happiest monster I've ever seen. And another little pumpkin with a witch's hat and a little spider. Witch and Friends as a little pillow. And this one is another one I find very cute. Very cute. This time the ghost has the crazy hair. I love the crazy hair. So this one, I'm not going to stitch this because it is giant. It's absolutely giant. But are these flowers with the little pumpkins and the spiders and the bat clouds? Oh my word, the bat clouds. Aren't they the cutest? I'm really tempted, but this is extremely big. This is well, it isn't so big. It's smaller than I thought. It looked like she stitched it 1/1. Maybe I am trying to do this at some point when I'm bored out of my mind. It's a 237 by 178, and yes, that's big. It's still big. But I thought she stitched it 1/1, but I don't think she did. Well, maybe she did too, because she stitched it on a 15 by 13 piece of 28 count. So yeah, she might have stitched this on 28 1/1. It doesn't actually mention here, but it's adorable. It's absolutely adorable. This pattern goes over 4 pages in the magazine, so that should tell you all you need to know. Then you have these things they call wine charms for wine glasses. You can put around the stem of the glass, so probably to mark it. This is on my to-stitch list, and that's what I mean when I say usually Doreen Jones is more cutesy. This is a Doreen Jones, and I saw this and was, yes please. Again, it totally reminds me of Harry Potter because of the purple double-decker bus but it's also, it's absolutely lovely. And I think I could get away with stitching the blue in the background with just half stitch instead of full cross stitch. Because if you use a blue fabric, I don't think that it actually makes this much of a difference. I also like the backgrounds where parts of it is just stitched in half stitch. If you don't know what this looks like, check out Bendy Stitches. She is currently totally going to block that out. She is currently stitching her going to market, and all the background is stitched in half stitch. It's just such a nice look. So there's a snack time. It kills me. It really kills me. If I had all the time in the world and no work to do, I probably would stitch a third of what's in here. Little pillow. This one here also. It's so cute. It's absolutely adorable. And then we have more of these little things. The cat down here with a mask. It reminds me of a stamp I have from Christina Werner for Simon Says Stamp. It reminds me a lot of that. Look at him with his hat. Halloween is a hoot, I agree. Not here, sadly, but in my heart it is. For a few years it looked like Halloween might be going somewhere here, but I think it has mostly died out again. Maybe one of these days I'll manage to be in the States for Halloween. That would be fantastic. Then we have this weird playing card thing. And these here, I have seen them all over AliExpress. Of course, they are stolen if they are on AliExpress as diamond paintings. And I absolutely adore what this designer does. This is chalk art. So I'm not so sure if this translates super well into cross stitch, but I mean, look at that. And I've seen the cover of the newest magazine of the 2020 version, and it has another of her pieces on it as well. So people seem to love it. I adore it. I have to get some of her prints one of these days. Not going to stitch it though. So, there's another version of this. This has all the pattern. And then we have her. I think she looks fantastic too. Look at that. Spiderweb harp. I mean, that's an idea you have to have. And a little bag for all those Halloween goodies. Who needs to breathe anyway? And then we have this one here, and I think that's the last one. Yeah. Then you have, as always in these magazines, a bit of a tutorial section, and then all the shops back here. So this is a US magazine, so it's only US shops. And then you have this little summary here, and we're done. So I hope this wasn't too boring. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. I don't purchase magazines in a printed form all that often. I usually go for the PDF if I can, just to not clutter up everything. Again, look at my crafty chat this week where I talk about my bookcase, and it's full of cooking magazines that I have never touched after I've gotten them and thumbed through them for a few times. So I usually don't do that. But if I buy them, I'm glad to share them with you if you're interested in that. I know this is an older issue, And there are probably many flip throughs of that one all over Flosstube. I don't know, I didn't check. But in case you had never seen it before, I hope I could show you something that's interesting you. It should be still available, so check it out. Anyway, guys, that's it. This got a lot longer than I thought it would. And all of that with my brain not properly working. So let's enjoy a bit of cold coffee. It's actually still lukewarm. I'm impressed. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I should be back on Monday. I think with a daily crafty chat. I have to mix it up a little bit. I've been doing mostly these chats recently and you seem to enjoy them, so no problem. I'm going to do them. I love to do them, but I think I have to mix it up again. I have to do a few post reviews for diamond paintings anyway. So let's see what Monday will bring, but it will bring something. That much I can say. Okay. Lola is saying goodbye as well. She is taking a nap on my laptop. Why, cat? Why? So, have fun, guys. Bye.